You wake up one day and nothing is technically wrong. Your life looks fine from the outside. Same people, same routines, same version of you that everyone recognizes. But something feels off. Conversations that once excited you now feel empty. Jokes you used to laugh at land flat. You start craving quiet more than noise, depth more than attention. And the strangest part is you cannot explain it to anyone without sounding ungrateful. This video is about that moment. The moment you realize you are not broken, just changing. Outgrowing your old personality does not happen with drama or announcements. It happens slowly, in the way you pause before reacting, in the way you stop performing for approval, in the way you no longer fit into rooms you once owned. If you are watching this and feeling lost in your own skin, stay. You are not losing yourself. You are meeting a newer, truer version. Before we talk about change, we need to talk about where you started, because the personality you are outgrowing did not appear randomly. It was built slowly, shaped by your age, your environment, and what you needed at the time. It was a response, or even a strategy, a way to survive the version of life you were in. Maybe you learned to be funny because laughter made people stay. Maybe you became quiet because silence kept you safe. Maybe you became ambitious early because success felt like security. That version of you knew exactly what it was doing. It learned how to belong in rooms that once felt unfamiliar. It figured out how to cope when things felt heavy. It helped you succeed in the ways that mattered back then. And that is important to say out loud. Your old personality was never a mistake. It did its job. It carried you through phases where you did not yet have the tools you have now. It protected you when you needed protection and pushed you when you needed momentum. But survival personalities are built for specific seasons. And seasons change. As you grow, your needs change too. What once kept you safe can start feeling tight. What once helped you fit in can start feeling like a costume. That does not mean you are ungrateful. It means you are no longer living in the same conditions. This is where the shift begins, not loudly, not dramatically. It starts quietly, with a feeling you cannot fully explain yet. A sense that the things that once worked are no longer working the same way. And that brings us to the first real sign of outgrowing your old personality. One of the first things people notice is boredom that does not make sense. The habits you once loved feel dull. Conversations that used to light you up now feel repetitive. Goals you chased with hunger now sit untouched, not because you are lazy, but because the fire is gone. This is confusing because on paper, nothing is wrong. So the guilt creeps in. You start telling yourself you should be excited, you should be grateful, you should want this, but you do not. And that gap between what you should feel and what you actually feel becomes uncomfortable. Here is the truth most people do not tell you. Growth often removes excitement before it replaces it with clarity. When you outgrow something, your mind detaches before your life catches up. The emptiness you feel is not failure. It is space being created. Your nervous system is no longer stimulated by what once gave it rewards. Your values are shifting quietly. You are craving depth instead of distraction, meaning instead of movement. But because the next version of you is still forming, all you feel right now is the absence of the old. That is why this stage feels flat instead of inspiring. And as your interests change, something else starts changing with them. The people around you. Because shared excitement is often what holds relationships together. When that disappears, the weight becomes noticeable. At first, you think you are just tired. Then you realize it only happens with certain people. Friends you have known for years, conversations that follow the same script every time, stories that live in the past and never move forward. These relationships are not bad. They are just built around an older version of you. Some people only know how to connect with who you were, the version that laughed at those jokes, the version that played that role, the version that needed them in a certain way. When you change, the dynamic shifts, and suddenly being around them feels heavy instead of easy. You leave interactions feeling drained, not energized. Not because they hurt you, but because you are constantly shrinking yourself to stay familiar. You find yourself listening more than speaking, explaining less, holding parts of yourself back because they no longer fit the shared space. This can bring guilt too. You wonder if you are becoming distant or cold. But what is really happening is alignment. Your energy is no longer flowing where it once did. And when relationships stop fitting, something else shows up. A feeling that is harder to name. A quiet itch. A restlessness that follows you even when everything seems fine. This is the stage that confuses most people. You cannot point to a problem, yet you feel unsettled. You feel like something is missing, but you do not know what. You might even feel ungrateful for wanting more when your life is objectively okay. But restlessness is not greed. It is not dissatisfaction. It is information. It is your inner self telling you that the container you are in can no longer hold who you are becoming. Your mind is reaching forward before your circumstances do. You feel called towards something you cannot fully see yet. That feeling is uncomfortable because it asks you to move without a clear map. It asks you to trust change without proof. So many people are silent at this stage. They distract themselves. They stay busy. They convince themselves this feeling will pass. But it keeps returning. Because restlessness is not a flaw to fix. It is a signal to listen to. It is the moment before expansion. The pause before a shift. If you are feeling this, you are not broken. You are early. Early in becoming someone new. At some point, the things you used to run to stop working, the scrolling, the noise, the late nights that once felt freeing, the distractions you used to call self-care, now leave you feeling emptier than before. You still try them, out of habit, but something feels off. Instead of relief, there is discomfort. Instead of escape, there is awareness. This is not you becoming boring. This is you becoming honest. When you were younger, distraction was enough. It helped you avoid feelings you did not have the tools to face. But growth changes what your nervous system asks for. You no longer want to numb yourself. You want to understand yourself. You want depth instead of constant stimulation. Silence instead of noise. Presence instead of escape. That is why old coping habits feel wrong. They were designed to help you survive emotional overload, not to help you process it. And now your system is asking for something more mature, something slower, something real. This stage can feel uncomfortable because it removes your usual exits. You cannot distract yourself the way you used to. You are left alone with your thoughts more often, but this is not punishment. It is preparation. Growth demands better ways to cope because the life you are moving toward will require clarity, not avoidance. Regulation, not numbing. Awareness, not running. And once you stop escaping, you start seeing more clearly. Not just what is wrong, but what is possible. That clarity leads to the next sign. A quiet realization that there is a bigger version of you waiting, even if you are not ready to say it out loud yet. This part does not come with loud ambition. It comes softly, in passing thoughts, in moments where you imagine more for yourself, then quickly shut it down. You start seeing glimpses of a life that feels fuller, braver, more aligned. But you hesitate to talk about it, not because you do not believe in it, but because you are afraid others will not. You have learned that sharing dreams with the wrong people can shrink them, that being misunderstood hurts more than staying quiet. So you keep these visions private, you carry them carefully. You tell yourself it is just a thought, not a plan. But it never quite goes away. You start craving growth that feels meaningful, not just impressive. You want to move differently, live differently, show up differently. And with that desire comes fear. Fear of judgment, fear of outgrowing people, fear of becoming someone unfamiliar. This is where maturity begins. When you stop needing validation for your vision, when you learn to protect it instead of proving it. Not everyone needs to understand where you are going, because this vision is not for the version of you that needed approval. It is for the version of you that is learning to trust itself. And yet, between seeing who you were and who you might become, there is a space no one prepares you for. This is the quietest and most misunderstood phase of growth. You no longer feel like the old you, but the new you has not fully arrived yet. You feel awkward in rooms that once felt familiar. You speak less, observe more, and question things you used to accept without thought. It can feel like you are losing yourself, but psychologically, something very specific is happening. Your brain is reorganizing your sense of identity. In psychology, this is called identity restructuring. The beliefs, habits, and roles that once defined you are being questioned and slowly let go. That process creates discomfort because the human mind craves consistency. When your self-image shifts, your nervous system experiences uncertainty, even if the change is positive. This is also why anxiety can show up during this phase. Your brain has not yet built new mental shortcuts for who you are becoming. Old patterns are gone, but new ones are not stable yet, so you feel unsure, hesitant, and emotionally exposed. Another important part of this stage is cognitive dissonance. You are holding two versions of yourself at the same time, who you were and who you are becoming. When those versions conflict, your mind feels tension, not because something is wrong, but because change is happening faster internally than externally. This phase is necessary because identity is not replaced overnight. It is rewired through repetition and reflection. Sitting in this discomfort allows your mind to form a more authentic self, not one built on survival or approval. You are not stuck here. You are integrating. And integration is what makes growth last. If this video felt uncomfortably familiar, take that as reassurance. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply growing out of a version of yourself that already did its job. The confusion, the quiet, the restlessness, all of it means something is shifting in the right direction. If this helped you feel a little more understood, tap the like button. It tells the algorithm and yourself that this message mattered. And if you want more videos like this, honest conversations about growth, identity, and becoming your best self, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Until next time.